Chapter 96, Superhero Florida Man, speedruns a boss fight. Ain't nobody got time for that. After a night's rest, the unconscious cultivators in the pagoda regained their senses. They sat up at the same time the morning sunlight shone through the windows. Everybody was dizzy. The young disciples had a high fever while the elders only had a mild headache. Yao Chi-Chi was among them. She sat up and wobbled. The 6-year-old girl looked different from before. After she drank several mouthfuls of Rejuvenate tea, her physique age regressed 3 years, reverting her body to a 3-year-old child. No matter how everybody looked at her, she was just a little child that shouldn't be here. However, her cultivation base was no joke. Despite looking like a kindergarten child, she entered the mystic realm as a foundation establishment cultivator. Moreover, after she woke up, her chi volume surpassed that of a peak golden core cultivator even though her cultivation base remained the same. Yao Chi-Chi yawned. She looked around and found Sun Wan, who was her current mentor and new mother. "Good morning, Mama." Sun Wan turned toward her adopted child and carried her in her arms. She brightly smiled. "Are you okay? Did you get hurt?" "Just a little dizzy." "What was that noise, Mama?" Yao Chi-Chi hugged her foster mother and smiled. She loved being spoiled. "I don't know either." Sun Wan bitterly smiled and gazed at Han Hao and Han Meng. Their conditions were as bad as hers as their faces were as pale as a sheet. While everybody checked on their disciples and their colleagues, Sun Wan heard the voice transmissions of Dongfang Mei. "Is everybody all right?" Sun Wan closed her eyes and replied in her mind, "Yes, Senior. Everybody has recovered." "What about Chi-Chi?" "She's doing fine. Actually, this might be a fortuitous encounter for her. I think her chi volume has tripled. Keep on protecting her. She's our hope and dream." "Understood." Sun Wan wasn't the only one who got to talk to their team leader. Han Hao also heard the voice of Hua Jieshan. "Is there any casualty?" Han Hao deeply sighed and muttered, "No, Sect Master. Everybody survives. Only minor injuries." "Very well. Everybody has 5 days to cultivate. After that, send all disciples back, and we will begin collecting as many herbs and fruits from this mystic realm." Hearing that they would get to spend a couple days treasure hunting, Han Hao was overjoyed. "Yes, Sect Master. We'll do our best. Oh, by the way, yes, while you're unconscious, Taoist Florida Man entered the pagoda. He has gone ahead of me and Dongfang Mei. I don't know which floor he is on, but he should be at the top by now. If something weird happens again, ignore my orders and evacuate everybody out of this mystic realm." "Huh. Just so you know, Taoist Florida Man comes here with a thunder unicorn. I think it's his new mount or pet." Han Hao's eyes turned into 2 small dots as he didn't know how to react to Liu's deeds. His action reminded him of Wu Bai, who semi-betrayed Life Sword Sect to bootlick Liu. He wondered what the alchemist friend was doing. "Sect Master, which mystic realm portal is Taoist Florida Man using? How did he come here? Have you forgotten about his portal platform? He made one for himself, no?" Han Hao smacked his forehead with his palm. He saw that platform, but he didn't pay attention to it. Finally, he understood why Wu Bai volunteered to be by Liu's side. "If Florida Man is here, that damn fox should be here too. You're a damn shameless, Wu Bai. How could you leech that quasi-immortal by yourself? You should have told me." It was too late to regret. While everybody was ready for a new day of exploration and cultivation, Liu picked up a 9th-rank monster core of the dead rabbit Trent and put it in his pocket. He wanted to eat it, but he needed them for the longevity pills that he hadn't made yet. Then they resumed their journey to the top of the pagoda. Fortunately, they simply needed to walk across every floor and climb every stair inside the pagoda building. They didn't have to parkour or jump over small platforms like a certain popular game that required players to climb random objects until they reached the space. As both Taxi and Liu had experience, they rushed through the next 50 floors, hoping to find another boss or a checkpoint. On the 250th floor, they found what they wanted. 2 rabbit Trents stood tall, blocking the path to the next level. As soon as Liu and Taxi showed up, they hissed and attacked him. Liu grinned. This time, he didn't let Taxi fight. He charged toward the rabbit Trents. "Nom nom, mother trucker. Gimme your lifespan and your monster cores." A minute later, Liu got his hands on 2 more monster cores. As he had more than one, he bit one of the apple-sized monster cores to see how much he would get. After eating the entire monster core, Liu got the result. "Ding. Your lifespan has increased by 2,000 years. Liu pursed his lips. It was not bad. However, He wondered if the longevity pills would give him more than 2000 YOL. As such, he kept the second rabbit trent's core in his pocket. The climbing resumed. On the 251st floor, things changed. Instead of finding a blank floor with a strong chi pressure as usual, they found 3 rabbit trents, standing guard in front of the stairs to the next level. Ho ho! Leo licked his lips. He loved this pattern. I guess we have more monster cores in the menu. But the real question is, how can I transport them home? I think you should take a look at. He crossed his arms and approached the 3 rabbit trent monsters, looking at the cute creatures. While Leo was busy climbing the pagoda, Situ Nantion departed from the heaven-piercing mountains. They traveled east, heading toward the pagoda town that Leo was in. Situ Nantion never stopped reading the book after he got his hands on it. He learned so much that he wanted to know more. While he read it, he also taught the other clansmen. Gnosis is the core of a celestial being. It contains the solidified Tao and karma of the cultivator. Whoever digests the gnosis of a celestial being will obtain the power of gnosis, attaining the same strength as the former gnosis owner. This is a shortcut to reach the immortal stage. Everybody was astonished. They were grateful that Situ Nantion shared this knowledge with them. But that's not the end. Gnosis is just a replica of something grand. In the book, it mentions fate crystal. It says that fate crystals are created along with a lucky newborn baby chosen by heaven. The fate owner has a tremendous amount of luck, and their talent defies all logic. Every person with fate crystal can be considered as the protagonist of the era. Wow! This is funny, though. Our ancestors also mentioned it a long time ago. Situ Nantion remembered the teaching of his grandfather, who had ascended long ago. He always warned Situ Nantion not to antagonize the fate crystal bearer no matter what. Protagonists of the era. Although his grandfather had warned him, Situ Nantion had another idea. According to the Book of the Mysterious Immortal, it mentioned how one could become heaven's favorite child by stealing the fate crystal from the chosen one. Moreover, it also listed the quality of the crystals. The lowest quality was named Heavenly Fate Crystal. The drawn image in the book showed a fist-sized crystal, and the book described that it enabled the bearer to create a new universe in their dantian. The standard fate crystal, on the other hand, was called Entity Fate Crystal. It came in various sizes, and the biggest one was rumored to be at least 500 meters in diameter. The book highlighted that these crystals used to be heavenly fate crystals, but the crystals absorbed their owners' luck enough to evolve. Smaller entity fate crystals could only be found among overlords of a realm, a planet, or a mystic realm. As for the bigger ones, nobody knew where they could be found. After learning about the unique artifacts, Situ Nantion couldn't sit still. He desired those fate crystals and the power of Gnosis. He wanted absolute power. Because of the enthusiasm and excitement, Situ Nantion flew past Leo's camping site, where Wu Bai and Gao Yan had been staying in. The clansmen noticed them, but they ignored the two as their cultivation bases were too weak. The group flew for 6 hours. At 1 p.m., they finally reached the pagoda town. Situ Nantion ignored the small pagodas. He gazed at the tallest one, which streaked through the clouds. Judging from his eyes, there should be about 300 to 400 floors. According to the book and that immortal, this place should be the lair of Rabbit Trent King. He should be the owner of this mystic realm. Situ Nantion's subordinates got nervous. As the dead immortal didn't have a chance against the mystic realm overlord, they doubted that Situ Nantion could defeat it. Grand Elder, do you have a plan? How do we defeat it? Situ Nantion smirked. Who do you think I am? I am Situ Nantion, the heaven's scribe. All my talismans are capable enough to kill weak immortals. But sir, that dead immortal also dash. Situ Nantion glared at his subordinate. You! Shut up! You don't understand anything. This is our golden opportunity to obtain godly knowledge from the immortal realms. If we can acquire either a fate crystal or the power of Gnosis, our clan will be the strongest, and we won't have to bow down to the imperial family anymore. The followers still doubted their Grand Elder. They looked at each other, wanting to bail from this mission. While the crowd was reluctant to follow Situ Nantion's order or follow his lead, a loud boom came from the sky. Everybody looked up and noticed that the clouds around the top of the pagoda dispersed. Situ Nantion narrowed his eyes as he could see through walls and objects. He noticed an aura of an old man, whose cultivation base couldn't be measured. Behind the old man, there was a 9th stage thunder unicorn. However, in front of the man and the horse, there was a terrifying aura of a monster. Situ Nantian flinched in fear. The aura of the monster belonged to the being that surpassed the 9th stage. It could also be considered a sacred beast as its presence was similar to an immortal. Immortal beast? That was the nickname of a 10th stage monster beast or stronger beast. Usually, they rarely appeared in a mystic realm that was connected to a mortal world. However, they sometimes appeared as a guardian, protecting the most important place of a mystic realm. Situ Nantian laughed. He flew up, planning to take advantage of their fight and steal whatever artifacts from the tower. He instantly hovered over the 400th floor, the top floor. Boom! Before Situ Nantian could do anything, a loud gong sound echoed. He flinched for a moment as he couldn't control his chi. A few seconds later, he free fell from the sky. Situ Nantian didn't notice what the old man did to the 10th stage monster. Meanwhile, at the 400th floor, Leo bit his lower lip as he gazed at the broken gong. Why did you have to do that? This is my favorite gong. I was planning to use it as my alarm bell. In front of Leo, a 10-meter-tall rabbit Trent sat on his throne, staring down at Leo and Taxi. He scoffed after he destroyed the gong with a flying sword. You puny human is too loud. Your life, your treasures, and your meat will be the fertilizer for my kin dash. Boom. Leo suddenly launched and counterpunched from a distance. The wind, caused by the fist, punctured through the rabbit Trent King's chest, leaving a large hole. The rabbit Trent King looked down in confusion. He didn't understand what had hit him. Leo stomped toward rabbit Trent King. He jumped and landed on the king's lap and snatched the dangling red orb from the monster. Ain't nobody got time for that. Gimme your damn monster core. I need to finish my goddamn quest so that I can start farming my lifespan. The rabbit Trent King's consciousness slowly faded. He had 1,000 questions and rebukes to say, but Leo shut down his hope. Just like that, Leo skipped the boss fight and went straight for the quest reward. Chapter 97 Vegan Cops Stalk Florida Man for Eating Meat at Home. After making a quick work on the rabbit Trent King, Leo butchered the corpse, searching for the quest item that the system mentioned. However, he couldn't find it anywhere. The only thing that came out from the corpse was the 10th grade monster core. Where is the Gnosis thingy? Leo grumbled while he looked at the quest menu. Primary objectives. 1. Kill rabbit Trent King. 2. Absorb Gnosis of rabbit Trent King. Secondary objective. 1. Locate Entity Fate Crystal in Sweet Dream Mushroom Forest. 2. Absorb Entity Fate Crystal. Exploration rewards. 3 free tickets. Ownership of Planet Rabbit Trent A3. Secondary rewards. 1 lucky draw. After rereading the description, Leo got new inspiration. As the quest wanted him to absorb the Gnosis, he might as well eat the entire corpse of this monster. Oh well. Nom nom mother trucker. Leo started by taking a bite of the withered vines. He sat there, eating every piece that he could get. As for Taxi, he stood there, gazing at Leo in astonishment and respect. Smash! Taxi lowered its head, wanting to take a piece too. However, as it licked the mutated blood of the rabbit Trent King, he flinched. Leo glanced at the horse and warned him, "Be careful about that. Mutated blood is full of cancer cells. You're going to get cancer if you eat that." Smash! D. Of course not. That ain't your food. It's mine. Only I can eat it. Taxi backed away from the corpse. It looked around if there was anything else he could do. Then it found the pile of rabbit Trent King's collections, piling into a mountain. Most of them were fruits. At a glance, they looked similar to dragon fruits, which were common in Southeast Asia in the modern world. However, it was Taxi's first time seeing these edible goodies. Leo also sneaked glances at the white dragon fruits. They were bigger than apples, but their skin looked like flower petals, looking majestic and unique. They glittered in white light, emitting strong yang qi. Upon looking carefully, Leo and Taxi noticed a tall plant with droopy long leaves, similar to aloe vera leaves. It stood in the middle of dragon fruits. Similar to its offspring, the leaves were white, and they were full of yang qi. However, from the perspective of Leo, the leaves looked like LED lights. Plop, plop. Dragon fruits kept coming out from the plant. Every minute, a new fruit was born and fell off the plant. However, the old fruits never withered as they gathered qi from the environment to sustain and prolong their life. Leo ate the corpse while he frowned at the weird plant and the fruits. He asked Taxi, "Do you know what those are?" Smash. Sad face. "So, you don't know too?" Smash. Laughing face. "Fine. Eat them if you can. Smash! XD. Taxi dashed toward the piles of fruits. He took one in his mouth and chewed it whole. As soon as his teeth cut through the skin, his taste buds perceived the sweet and jelly-like soft texture of the white seed. It was delicious. However, there was something wrong with the fruit. Taxi swallowed half of it and spat the remaining out. He neighed and collapsed on the floor. Leo stopped eating the withered branch of Rabbit Trent King. He smirked at Taxi. You got smashed, it seems. How is it, donkey? Taxi didn't answer. He gestured to Leo with his eyes, challenging his new boss to eat it himself. Leo shrugged and slapped his bare hand on the pony's belly. He wasn't afraid that Taxi would mutate, as his skin already touched this guy several times when he was riding him. Taxi was immune to Leo's radiation. Picking up one of the fruits, Leo flipped it around and inspected it. He vaguely remembered that the normal version of these fruit cost about $6 to $7 each during the pre-nuclear war. He also read on the internet somewhere that farmers who grew those fruits in Asia only sold them for less than $1 per kg. Thinking of the past, Leo had a complicated feeling. He somewhat wished that the war would have happened, but the other side of him was grateful that he survived and lived until this day. Cheers. For humanity, for immortality, and for me. Leo looked up and raised the fruit, paying homage to 8 billion souls that died in the past. Then, without peeling it, he took a bite. Nothing happened. Leo kept eating it without spitting the black seeds out. Moreover, the fruit didn't mutate even though it touched his skin and his saliva. After swallowing everything, Leo cleaned his hands by swiping them with his hazmat pants. He looked at Taxi in confusion. You're weak, donkey. I don't feel anything. Smash! Svel.Omicronum. Yeah, I don't have a stomach ache like you. Leo scoffed and glanced at his system menu, wondering what kind of perk he got from the fruit. Your lifespan has increased by 1 year. The reward was insignificant. He would rather eat raw monster meat or rotten rabbit trent, as they offered more per bite. Taxi noticed that Leo disregarded the fruits, and he slowly got back up. Although he had stomach pain, he still wanted to eat more. Unbeknownst to Leo, Taxi gained so much yang qi from the fruit. He believed that he got about 10 years' worth of cultivation after eating half of the white dragon fruit. However, his dantian and monster core couldn't handle the flood of energy, causing his stomach to repel some of the yang qi out. Not wanting to lose to Leo, Taxi mustered his strength to eat the remaining fruit that he had spat earlier. While Leo and Taxi took their time on the top of the pagoda, Situ Nantian regained his bearing. He flew back to the top of the pagoda to see who interfered with him. Floating 10 meters away from the top floor's window, Situ Nantian looked at the people inside. Then he spotted a 9th stage monster, a thunder unicorn. Next to the monster was an old man with a rainbow aura. Situ Nantian narrowed his eyes for a moment. As he couldn't find Leo's Dao avatar, he was on guard. Where is his Dao avatar? Who is he? Why haven't I seen him before? I know all quasi-immortal and soul transformation cultivators in the main continent and those West barbarians. How come I haven't seen this guy before? He seems like another quasi-immortal. I think you should take a look at. He contemplated for a moment before he recalled some of the reports regarding a certain Florida man. Remembering the reports, Situ Nantian figured out the identity of the person in the pagoda tower. He smirked. I see. This is the rumored immortal of the Magpie City. Well, I respect you. I vaguely sensed the presence of an immortal beast, but you managed to kill it. I won't find trouble with you. However, it's another story if you find the Gnosis and the Fate Crystal. Situ Nantian continued to lurk in the sky, waiting for Leo to find the right item. As for his subordinates, they quickly caught up with their Grand Elder and waited for new instructions. You stay out of this. I'll handle it myself. Be prepared to leave on a signal. Yes, Grand Elder. 1 hour later, nothing changed. Leo kept on eating the monster's corpse. As for the unicorn, it lay on the floor, taking a nap after food. It snored and clattered its teeth. Situ Nantian frowned as he found Leo and Taxi obnoxious. Still, he waited for them to find the Fate Crystal and the Gnosis. Another hour passed, yet Leo hadn't finished eating the monster. 80% of the massive corpse remained, and Leo couldn't eat anymore. He sat down and patted his bloated belly. Then he closed his eyes, taking a short nap. Situ Nantian was annoyed. He had the urge to enter the building through the window. However, he was afraid of Leo's hidden strength. Moreover, he didn't know if the pagoda had a defensive mechanism that could prevent outsiders from entering the tower from the sky. For hours later, Leo stretched and yawned. He rubbed his eyes and shook his head. Ah, that was a good nap. All right, time to nom again. Hearing Leo's words, Situ Nantion flinched. Blood veins under his facial skin swelled, and his face reddened in anger. He took a deep breath to calm down. Just be done with the corpse, Florida man. Stop wasting my time. Despite being angry, Situ Nantion held it in and waited patiently. Unfortunately, he underestimated Leo's endurance and greediness. Ding. Your lifespan has increased by 10 years. Your lifespan has increased by 10 years. Your lifespan has increased by 10 years. Leo hummed as he enjoyed eating the Rabbit Trent King's withered corpse. Each bite netted him 10 years of lifespan, which was a lot better than golden sand bananas or white dragon fruits. Although the taste was disgusting, Leo loved nutritious food. While eating, Leo rubbed his nose and closed his eyes. He already sensed a group of people floating outside the windows. However, he didn't bother attacking them as he couldn't gain lifespan from other humans in this place. Would you meet a lush woman like her? Her beauty. Just keep watching, you dumb wet bananas. Anyway, time for the disgusting part. Leo looked at the innards of the Rabbit Trent King. He thought that its body was made of wood, but it had innards and organs made of wood. He picked up a long intestine which looked like withered vines. He broke it into a small piece and put it in his mouth. As Leo had guessed, it literally tasted like rotten moldy seaweed. Yuck, Jesus Christ. What did you eat to smell like this? Taxi smirked and gestured with his head, looking at the pile of dragon fruits. Leo noticed the horse's reaction and stared at the plant and useless fruits. Meh, a vegan, I see. You were malnourished, you dumb rabbit. Leo kept eating the intestine vines. Then he glanced at the notification message window. Your lifespan has increased by 10 years. Your lifespan has increased by 10 years. He felt a bit better. Seeing the number, Leo was encouraged to keep going. He raised his arms and shouted, "Let's do this. I'll finish this thing within tomorrow." Outside the pagoda, Situ Nantion almost fell from the sky. He covered his face and gritted his teeth. How long are you planning to waste your time? What are you doing? Why are you eating a disgusting monster corpse? Situ Nantion was so infuriated that he wanted to kill somebody. He clenched his fist, getting ready to launch a surprise attack on Leo. Cluck cluck. But then, Situ Nantion's eyes found a rolling red ball, which fell off Leo's pocket. That was the monster core of an immortal beast, a 10th stage monster core. Situ Nantion narrowed his eyes. He wondered if it was related to the fate crystal that was mentioned in the book. His eyes followed the orb. Cluck cluck. The clear red orb rolled toward the pile of white dragon fruits. As soon as the orb touched them, the fruits vanished into the orb. Situ Nantion widened his eyes in astonishment. He had never seen a weird monster core like that before. What is that thing? Curious, Situ Nantion approached one of the windows, close to the white dragon fruit plant. As he got closer, he found a mysterious orb, which was dangling behind the white plant, hiding among the dragon fruits. At a glance, it looked like an eyeball. However, its surface was similar to smooth shining glass. The glass eyeball looked at Situ Nantion. Then it looked left and right. Plop. The eyeball detached from the plant. Then it vanished into a pile of dragon fruits. Situ Nantion paused for a moment before he widely grinned. He reopened the book to compare the image. It looked different. The heavenly fate crystal in the book was a clear marble ball the size of a grain or a thumb. However, the eyeball earlier was as big as a fist. Situ Nantion narrowed his eyes. He wanted that eyeball. Even though it might not be the fate crystal that he wanted, he still wanted the eyeball to experiment on it. Chapter 98. Gunfire exchanged during a high-speed chase after cops stole Florida man's pokeball. For 3 days, Leo and Taxi remained on the pagoda's top floor, eating everything they could. As for Situ Nantion and his men, they waited for an opportunity to steal the 10th grade monster core and the eyeball. Finally, Leo finished his food. However, Leo was frustrated. He ate everything, but the quest hadn't ended yet. What is Gnosis? After shouting, Leo paced around the room, wondering what he did wrong. Taxi glanced at Leo and scoffed. Smash! Huh? Isn't that the Rabbit Trent King? Smash. What you do mean, there might be other kings. Are you saying that we killed the wrong guy? Smash. D. Hearing Taxi's suggestions, Leo's mood was ruined. He scratched his head and looked at the pile of dragon fruits. Although he already ate a lot, he picked one up and ate it without peeling the skin. It was SOSO. At least, the fruit was 1,000 times better than rotten wood. While eating, Leo patted his pant pocket. He noticed that his pocket was strangely light. Then, he remembered that he hadn't eaten the Rabbit Trent King's monster core yet. Right? Is that the case? Hey Taxi, help me look for the monster core. I think I dropped it somewhere around here. Taxi nodded and helped Leo search for the monster core. He scanned the room with his chi. A few seconds later, he found it under a pile of dragon fruits. Smash! Oh, you found it? Good job. Leo laughed and slapped Taxi's robust stomach. Then, he approached the pile of dragon fruits that Taxi looked at. Pushing everything to the side, Leo dug the small mountain of edible alien-like balls. At the bottom of the pile, Leo finally found the red ball that he had lost. However, something was hugging it. There was a white eyeball creature with small tentacle arms and legs. It already half-absorbed the monster core. Oi you! That's mine! Leo reached out to grab the parasite. However, it carried the monster core and ran toward the dragon fruit plant. The plant also reacted to the eyeball. It split itself in half as if it created a new mouth. Then, the eyeball entered the plant along with the monster core. Hey! Leo didn't expect the little parasite to steal his monster core. He stomped toward the plant, planning to tear it to pieces. Now! At that moment, a certain lurker suddenly charged into the building through a window. He touched the plant, and it vanished into his spatial ring. Situ Nantian made his move. Leo's eyes and Situ Nanshan's eyes met. The former was enraged while the latter sneered. Situ Nantian let out a short snort. His body transformed into smoke, and it dissipated everywhere. Smash! Taxi reacted first. He roared and released a yellow lightning blast. The electric shockwave hit everything in the hall, including Leo. Zap! The lightning blast hit Situ Nanshan's invisible body before he could leave the building through the window. His body stiffened as his entire body was inflicted with the petrification curse of the yellow lightning tribulation. Meanwhile, Leo took a firm step. A split second later, he appeared in front of Situ Nantian. With his bare hand, he reached out to seize his neck. Poof! Unfortunately, Situ Nantian vanished again before Leo could touch him. Leo's pupils reddened. Without relying on Taxi's help, he swept his eyes around. Instantly, he stopped to look at the northwest direction. 1 kilometer away from the pagoda tower, Situ Nanshan's real body reappeared in the sky. The Grand Elder sweated profusely, and he shouted, ordering his subordinates. Stop him! Attack him with whatever you have! The 9 underlings of Situ Nantian shouted and summoned their 10-meter-tall Dao avatars. 9 giant figures of ogres holding talismans appeared, and they surrounded the pagoda building. 9 50-meters-long talismans emanated a red aura, linking all talismans together like chains. Then, they unleashed flame beams toward Leo and Taxi. Smash! Taxi was offended. He roared and released his Dao avatar as well. A 100-meter-tall muscular man with a horse face and silver skin appeared. He looked down upon the smaller avatars of the cultivators. At the same time, the same yellowish shockwave transformed into a dome barrier, protecting Taxi's real body from the flame beams. Boom! The laser beams hit the dome barrier. However, because of the extreme heat, all dragon fruits melted away. Smash! Taxi was enraged. With the Hulk's physique, his Dao avatar punched one of the floating talismans. Boom! The talisman array was broken, and the fire beams vanished. PPFFFF. All 9 cultivators spat several mouthfuls of blood as the backlash hit them. They fell from the sky with an internal injury. Meanwhile, Leo was no longer inside the building. When the laser beams came toward him, he lightly kicked the floor and jetted 1 kilometer northwest, pursuing Situ Nantian. Instantly, Leo caught up. He was 5 meters away from Situ Nantian. The Grand Elder was shocked to see Leo there. He gritted his teeth and vanished once more. Leo narrowed his eyes and scanned around him. Then, he found Situ Nantian north, 10 kilometers away. Although Leo couldn't fly freely like cultivators, it didn't mean that he couldn't change his flight trajectory in midair. He gathered strength in his quads, shins, and lower abdomen. After making a slight adjustment, he flipped his body and folded his legs. Then he thrust them with his full force. Boom! Leo's legs suddenly generated extreme heat. His hazmat suit melted, and a layer of his leg skins fell off. However, the heat and the pressure from the legs propelled him north and changed the flight course. In less than a second, Leo's skinless legs were healed. However, he was still a lot slower than Situ Nanshan's teleportation speed. After flying 5 kilometers in a second, Leo succumbed to gravity and landed on the ground. While he fell, he marked Situ Nanshan's location. 50 kilometers away, northwest. I think you should take a look at. Leo exhaled through his teeth. As soon as his legs touched the ground, he kicked with his full force once more. Boom! 2 seconds later, Leo traveled 50 kilometers northwest, reaching the location where Situ Nantion had been earlier. However, the thief changed his flight course and went north. Their distance was 5 kilometers away. Leo's red pupils glowed brighter. He deeply inhaled and calmly checked his lifespan. Current lifespan, 198,107 years. Random food during the past few days was worth the effort and investment. However, Leo had no need to collect them now as he needed to do something drastic. He operated his online shopping menu and browsed the weaponry section. Leo tested his theory. He picked the cheapest 9mm handgun, costing him 5,000 years of lifespan. While shuttling through the sky and flying away from Situ Nantion, a CZ model manifested into his hands. Leo lightly grabbed it as the modern gun was too fragile for his standard. System, can you upgrade my handgun? That was Leo's theory. As he could upgrade modern refrigerators in the past, he wondered if he could do it with modern weapons too. Ding. Upgrading CZ-75 to level 2 will consume 5,000 years of lifespan. Will you upgrade it? How many times can I upgrade it? Equal to the level of the humble general store. Leo nodded. He flipped his body, pointing his feet forward as he was about to crash land again. While descending at a frightening speed, Leo shouted, "Upgrade to level 8. Ding. Upgrading CZ-75 to level 8 will consume 35,000 years of lifespan. Will you upgrade it?" Yes. This weapon requires upgraded ammunition. 1 magazine, 20 rounds, of level 8 CZ-75 costs 40,000 years of lifespan. Are you sure you wish to upgrade this weapon? Just do it. Buy me that mag too. Leo's eyes were bloody. He spent 80,000 years of his lifespan without thinking. The magazine appeared in Leo's hands. As Leo's muscle memory kicked in, he loaded the magazine like it was a natural thing in his life. Boom. Leo looked up and locked on to Situ Nanshan's aura. Because of a few seconds of distraction, the thief was already 30 kilometers away. Tisk! Leo descended and landed, once again without touching the ground twice. His swelled quads and shins pushed his legs straight and kicked himself northeast, charging toward the zigzagging old man. Whoosh! A second later, Leo caught up again. Faster than a bullet, Leo flew past Situ Nantion. The two men were instantly 50 meters apart. Both men could move at a light speed. Their perception and their reaction speed were also the same. From their perspective, the time of this world moved at a snail's speed. Situ Nantion bellowed and summoned his Tao avatar. A flying fish appeared, and it fired a crescent water cutter at Leo. It directly hit him, but it only cut through his hazmat suit. After tanking the hit, Leo flipped his body while he flew ahead of Situ Nantion. He aimed his handgun at Situ Nanshan's chest. Seeing the muzzle and sensing Leo's killing intent, he bellowed and took 90 degrees sharp turn. Leo's eyes and hands followed Situ Nanshan's quick movement. He also pulled the trigger. The sound and the trigger were a lot slower than Leo had expected. However, the recoil of the handgun surprised him. Bang! Leo's strong grip slightly moved. He raised an eyebrow as the recoil force had the same power as the cockatrice's. TSK. What a waste of lifespan. This is trash. Leo complained as he watched the distance increase. Once again, he overshot his leap, and he flew further than he had calculated. Pew. Meanwhile, the upgraded bullet didn't do anything fancy, except the speed. Unlike regular bullets, the level 8 shell traveled faster than light, pierced through the back of Situ Nantion. Situ Nantion felt the hot metal, piercing through the back and exiting his right chest. Because of the powerful force, his lung and several arteries ruptured. 6 of his ribcages fractured, and his stomach churned. This power. It felt the same as a full-force strike of a fellow quasi-immortal. The Grand Elder's speed drastically dropped because of the pain and shock. As he got a severe injury, he looked at the ground, searching for a place to hide. As Situ Nantion looked around, he noticed that he was directly above the pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid, The nasty sweet dream mushrooms occupied the forest. Sweet dream mushrooms. Why is it here? Situnantion was at a loss. As he couldn't hide in the forest of zombie mushrooms, he could only go forward. He started to regret provoking Leo. While Situnantion looked around, Leo already landed and jetted toward him again. This time his aura was filled with killing intent. But as Situnantion was desperate, he noticed that one of his clan's portals was directly above the pyramid. He rejoiced. Ha ha ha! Heaven doesn't abandon me. Too bad. Immortal Florida man. This is my win. Situnantion mustered the last bit of his strength, retreating to the portal as fast as possible. However, Leo, who flew back toward the pyramid, had no intention of letting Situnantion run away with his quest item. He carefully aimed his gun, targeting the hand with the most rings. Bang! Another shot was fired. It intercepted Situnantion's flight path. Situnantion noticed it too late. The bullet directly hit his left hand, shattering it. The left hand's 5 fingers and the rings on them scattered everywhere. Among them, the ring that stored the dragon fruit plant was there. New! Situnantion turned around, hoping to collect his rings and his fingers to reattach them. However, Leo flipped his body again and pointed the muzzle at Situnantion's head. Fearing death, Situnantion grudgingly retreated. He jumped into the portal, leaving his rings behind. Chapter 99, Florida man on shrooms lights himself on fire, damage the pyramid, and steal Pharaoh's golden chocolate. Seeing how the thief escaped through his grasp, Leo was frustrated. While shooting through the sky, he looked at the handgun. Failed him. 80,000 years of lifespan investment wasn't worth it. His punch and kick were a lot stronger than this pea shooter. I wasted my money. Ha! Leo sighed and landed 10 kilometers away from the pyramid. He turned around and softly kicked the ground, leaving a 100-meter diameter crater behind. He leaped toward the pyramid, where Situnantion's fingers and ring fell. After landing at the foot of the pyramid, the first thing he noticed was the pink mushroom forest. Leo recognized it well. They were sweet dream mushrooms. As soon as Leo stepped on one of them, 1,000 mushrooms erupted, spreading their spores toward him. He covered his mouth and nose. Then he put the gun away. Damn it, not again. Leo quietly purchased a can of spray paint and a lighter. Then he started raising the terrorizing mushrooms. The mushrooms caught fire. The small ones stopped spilling spores and withered. However, the large mushrooms began to show some resistance by splitting themselves into smaller pieces, flying away from the fire. At a glance, the mushrooms died at a rapid rate. In reality, the detached pieces of mushrooms devoured the chi in the environment and regrew back to the previous form. They self-healed and multiplied. Noticing that the resiliency of the mushrooms, Leo purchased a canteen of gasoline and poured the content on himself. Then he lit himself on fire. After turning himself into Ifrit, the spores that had been attached to his skin rapidly died. The pink mist around him also failed to get close to Leo. Seeing that the trick worked, Leo calmly purchased a package of cigars from the system. Opening the package, Leo picked up one of the cigars and threw the package away before it caught fire. He cut the head of the cigar and lit it on fire. Then he puffed a smoke. Cough. Leo coughed and spat. It had been too long since he last smoked, and his lungs rejected it. Still, it was enough to quell his pending anger and frustration. Damn it. I remember that geezer's face. He won't survive next time. After complaining while keeping the cigar in his mouth, Leo looked around, scanning the burning mushrooms and searching for Situnantion's fingers and rings. Wiggle. Svel.siamacronem. It was not hard to locate all 5 of them. Several overgrown mushrooms shamelessly generated small thin branches, slithering toward the rings. As many mushrooms had the same goal, they concentrated their extensions on the rings, turning their branches into interconnected balls. Leo walked toward one of the mushroom balls. He grabbed it while his hands were still aflame, burning the mushroom ball. He also rubbed the cigar's tip on it as he smoked enough. The mushroom ball resisted the flame. It regenerated back the burnt part, not wanting to part with the spatial ring and the finger inside. Leo dug into the ball with his fingers. With a slight force, the mushroom ball was split in half, revealing the content inside. A middle finger and a spatial ring were in there. Leo pulled the ring out and left the finger alone. After leaving the finger alone, the mushrooms restored themselves, returning its shape into a ball and covering the finger, resuming eating it. Leo rubbed the newly acquired spatial ring on his burning skin, removing the remnant mushroom spores on it. Then, he put it on and continued working with the other 4 mushroom balls. A few minutes later, Leo secured all 5 rings. However, he kept the gasoline fire burning. Couldn't hurt him or kill him anyway. After securing the rings, Leo planned to unload the content. However, the mushroom forest was not an ideal place. He looked around and searched for a better place. But then Leo gazed at the pyramid. Welp, since I'm here, how about a little exploration? Nothing can go wrong if I open a few sarcophagi in there, right? Leo laughed and strolled around the pyramid, looking for an entrance. An hour later, Leo finally found an entrance. He climbed the stone stairs as the cell gate was located at the middle section of the pyramid, where a small shrine was. Leo approached the shrine and found a sacrificial table, covered by sweet dream mushrooms and molds. He ignored it and walked toward the cell gate. With a pull, the cell gate broke, revealing a small hole to enter. As Leo was not into a claustrophobic fetish, he decided to expand the passageway. He grabbed a large slab of light yellow stone on the ceiling and pulled it. Rumble. The stone came out like a Jenga game piece. Leo looked at the cube stone and weighed it with his feeling. Then he tossed it toward the ground. Boom. The 10-ton stone smashed the mushrooms below. Leo cracked his fingers and started doing the same with the other pieces. For the sake of safety, Leo climbed to the apex of the pyramid and removed the top piece. Then he worked his way down. Boom, boom, boom. A few minutes later, Leo removed over 500 blocks of stones. However, he couldn't see any room or passageway yet. While Leo took his time, a certain horse followed his scent there. Taxi galloped in the sky. From under his feet, thunder cracked, and lightning bolts struck random trees and mushrooms on the ground. When Taxi found Leo, he neighed. Smash, love. Oh. Leo turned around and found Taxi. Upon noticing that the pony was standing in midair, Leo was jealous. Damn it, Taxi. I thought you were like me. I didn't know you could fly. Smash uwu, I think you should take a look at. What do you mean it's easy? I can't even fly. Smash. Tongue sticking out. No, you suck. I'm faster than you even though I can't fly. Smash. Laughing face. Huh? You're going to teach me? Smash XD. Noise. But dude, aren't you stinky? You want me to give you food 4 times a day? That ain't funny. Smash D. You. Leo facepalmed. From the conversation, Taxi offered a costly deal. He wanted 4 meals of immortal grass for 100 years. In exchange, he would teach Leo how to fly like him. As Taxi's technique didn't have a name, he simply called it horse steps. Although Leo hesitated, he thought of Wu Bai and the cultivators back home. He imagined their reactions when they learned that he couldn't fly. Also, Leo couldn't forget the aerial chase earlier. Fine. How many immortal grasses do you want per meal? Smash, love. Damn it, 200? I can't feed you too many. Your buddies are invading my house right now, and they might have already taken over my farms. I can't guarantee that many. How about 50? Smash. D. 70. Smash. D. Ugh, fine. 100 deal. Smash. XD. While settling a deal, Leo's hands never stopped moving. He removed pyramid Jenga stones one after another. Taxi observed Leo's action. He tilted his head, wondering why Leo was lit on fire. Also, he looked down and noticed the pink mushroom forest. Upon noticing the sweet dream mushrooms, Taxi shrieked in fright. It started running in a circle as if it was walking up a circular staircase. A minute later, he was 3 kilometers above the ground. Leo looked up and frowned. You are overreacting. Those mushrooms can't reach us here. SS smash. Taxi shook his head, refusing to come down. Leo sighed. He resumed working, removing the pyramid's blocks. After removing the 2000th piece, Leo finally found a hollowed area inside. When Leo found out that he could finally get inside, he laughed. Yup, this is the way. Just remove everything. Leo jumped into the only hole, which led him to a hollowed area inside the pyramid. He landed in the middle of a dark hall, supported by stone pillars. His eyes changed from red to green, adapting to the darkness in the pyramid's chamber. As soon as his eyes adapted to the dark, he found a gold statue of a rabbit Trent Pharaoh, sitting on a gold throne. Leo grinned. Is this the real rabbit Trent King? Is this why the quest doesn't end after I ate everything? Believing that the Pharaoh was the quest target, Leo leaped toward the statue and threw a straight punch at its face. Boom! The gold statue exploded, scattering gold stones everywhere. Leo wryly smiled. Judging from the impact feedback, he realized that he punched a gold statue, not a creature. Moreover, the statue was hollowed inside. He looked into the hole in the statue's neck. Then Leo found gold coins with the face of a rabbit. They all emitted gold radiation. Seeing the gold coins inside, Leo peeled the statue's skin. Clank. After pulling the neck and the shoulder parts out, it was as Leo had guessed. Inside the pharaoh statue was a stash of countless gold coins. Meh, trash. Leo picked one of the gold coins and took a bite. Unlike the cartoon meme, Leo's teeth snapped the gold coin in half. Then he chewed it as if it was chocolate. Tasted like 100% chocolate. The bitterness made Leo stick out his tongue and shut his eyes. Damn it. What kind of rotten gold is this? Ding. Your lifespan has increased by 5 years. Leo paused for a minute, staring at the system message window. He stiffly turned around and threw the other half into his mouth. Then, his attitude turned 180 degrees. This is the best food I ever have. Original chocolate FTW. Because of his good mood, Leo's brain efficiency rose. He got an idea. Leo looked up and shouted at Taxi, offering him a new deal. Hey Taxi, if you teach me how to use chi and my spatial rings, I'll add 100 blades of immortal grass to the top of the previous deal. How about it? Chapter 100 Florida man cleans his internal organ using high-pressure water, suffers brain damage. Taxi faintly heard Leo's shout. Although he was interested in an easy job, he was reluctant to get close to the nasty sweet dream mushroom forest. Smash D. Leo didn't hear the pony's voice, but he took it as a yes. He looked up and calculated his jump. Then he parkoured out of the hallowed hall and jumped 3 kilometers. A second later, Leo appeared in front of Taxi. He grabbed the horn and swung his body on the horseback. Phew, I finally get the hang of it. Vertical jump is a lot easier than Spider-Man jumps. However, Leo forgot about one fact. First, his clothes were all burnt and he was naked. Secondly, his entire body was on fire. Taxi sensed something warm on his back. Although the gasoline fire was nothing to Taxi, he still got annoyed. Smash! Yeah, I know. Sorry about the fire. I'll put that out. Leo patted his head, arms, and legs. As he put his mind to it, a layer of his slightly tanned skin came off, and a fresh skin layer was regenerated. Still, one part was on fire. He looked down and found his dangling schlong in Super Saiyan mode. Seeing the burning chicken, Leo laughed and patted the fire. After it was doused, Leo left a slightly darkened Olo mark on Taxi's back. Oh boy, I wish I could show my old friends on Earth. I wish I had a phone to take that picture. It would have been viral on the internet. Leo laughed as he thought of opening an OnlyFans account to post his videos and pics, such as his thing on fire on a hot grill under burning charcoal and wild stuff. He wondered if those would sell. Smash? Taxi's voice woke Leo from his silly daydream. He sighed and stood up. Then, he purchased a new set of clothes so that he wouldn't get rammed by this perverted horse. After putting on his clothes, Leo asked Taxi again. Before you teach me how to fly, teach me how to use chi and use the spatial rings in my hand first. Taxi scoffed, thinking that Leo was joking. Smash! I ain't trolling you. I'm serious. Smash! Yes, I can't use chi or essence whatsoever. Smash! D. Taxi was confused. He was certain that Leo was at least an immortal or a deity. However, hearing that Leo couldn't use chi or essence, his mind was blown. Leo's existence didn't make sense. If he could use chi, then what was the aura around him and his absurd physical strength? Screw me? No, screw you. I really don't know how to use chi. Just teach me. I'll give you more immortal grass. Taxi solemnly looked into his eyes. Upon seeing that Leo was serious, he firmly nodded. Smash! Good. Very well, Sifu. What should I do first? Taxi snorted and explained in his language. Smash! Smash, smash, smash. Smash! Ah yes, I know that cultivators meditate to gather invisible energy. But how? Smash! Leo nodded twice. I see. So, smash. Smash. Smash, smash. Smash D. I see. Their conversation also didn't make any sense. But they understood each other. Leo took a deep breath and sat cross-legged on Taxi's back. Then he paced his breaths and closed his eyes. Taxi respected Leo. He remained quiet and stood still, allowing Leo to meditate and feel the body and the world around him with the sixth sense. 5 minutes later, Leo opened his eyes. He tilted his head in confusion and looked at his fingertip. From Taxi's instruction, he simply needed to feel the energy flow inside his body, aka the mild electricity in his body first. Then, he could start manipulating them. This method always increased one's metabolism and burned one's excess fat. However, it also exhausted the cultivator as it depleted the person's calories at a rapid rate. However, Leo's physique was different from ordinary humans and cultivators. He was a living embodiment of evolved cancer cells. Each singular cell in his body collected a vast amount of element essence that surpassed what a quasi-immortal could do. Leo raised his index finger up and commanded his cancer cells to send the smallest amount of their chi to his fingertip. Piki, I think you should take a look at. An electric spark came out from Leo's fingertip. However, unexpected things happened. Vroom! A fiery flame shot out from Leo's fingertip. Then water splashed came out. When the fire and water met, they evaporated each other, causing a thick white smoke. The index finger also hardened as a rock while his fingernail transformed into a metal plate, growing and extending 1 meter at once. Leaves and tree branches also grew from the metal fingernail and released poison gas from the leaves. Looking at the chaos, Leo deeply sighed. It was difficult to adjust the power output as his blood cells had a mind of their own. He felt like he was trying to order feral cats to give him a paw. I guess I have to communicate with my damn cancer cells. My life is so complicated. My blood cells don't really listen to me. Leo pulled the metal nail off his finger. Then he tried again. This time, he ordered the blood cells not to release any element chi or essence. Instead, he wanted them to use their unwanted chi or impure chi. The decision was a mistake. Rumble. Leo's aura turned black. He began sweating, releasing dark fluid from his orifices and pores. Smash! Taxi was shocked. He shook his back and kicked Leo away from him. His hind legs smacked Leo's face and chest. Leo was unharmed. The panicking kick of a 9th-rank monster was harmless to him. While being covered in black fluid from his body, Leo sniffed his armpits. His face distorted in disgust as the smell was worse than wet, rotten corpses. What the hell? His cancer cells didn't stop releasing the black chi and the impurity in his body. His overall muscle mass decreased by 10%, and he lost a lot of fluid in his body. Boom! Leo safely landed on the ground after a long fall. He grumbled and pointed his finger into his mouth. Cancer cells, create me some water. I'm thirsty as hell. Splash. Because of the excessive water essence and power, Leo ended up creating a high-pressure water jet. The strong force of water sent a bullet-like stream into his mouth. Leo pointed his finger away and coughed. Some of the water got into his lungs and got pushed back to his nostrils, burning his nasal passages. The body instantly digested the water and washed his blood cells. Leo's muscles were slightly bloated, reverting back to his usual size. A few seconds later, they shrunk as the cancer cells continued to remove the impurity from his body. Leo gritted his teeth and ordered his finger to decrease the water pressure. He then pointed his fingertip at his mouth, drinking more water. As if Leo was cleaning himself with a water pressure machine, small streams of dark water came out from 1,000 of his arms, legs, torso, and even his ears. After circulating enough water, the dirty fluid got lighter, and his aura brightened. Leo stopped drinking water as overdrinking made him dizzy. He had a headache as too much water entered his brain. He rubbed his forehead and sat on the wet mud. Then, he looked at the mushroom forest around him. Sizzle. Strangely, the mushrooms around Leo turned black and died. When the black fluid of Leo entered the soil and touched the underground roots of the other mushrooms, they also withered and died. In seconds, all mushrooms in a square kilometer turned black and stopped multiplying. Leo quietly looked at the carnage that he had caused. He scratched his head. Welp, I guess my damn sweat is too toxic for zombie mushrooms. But damn, my sweat smells. Leo sighed and removed the dirty wet clothes. Since it cost only 3 years of lifespan, Leo didn't mind discarding them. He purchased a clean towel to clean himself. After drying his body, Leo reattempted the cultivation method. He tried again. Use less force, my cells. No, only one cell should be using your force. No one else interferes or joins in. Use the tiniest amount if you can. One of Leo's cancer cells reacted while the others were busy absorbing fresh chi from the environment around him that the mushrooms had released. This time, Leo sensed a strand of invisible energy, running through the palm of his left hand to his index finger. The energy exited his finger through the nail and came out, but the string was still attached to the body. Leo moved his finger around. He felt like he had a parasite worm coming out from his fingertip, but he couldn't see it. However, he knew it was there. Is this chi that those cultivators work so hard to get? Leo was amused. He opened his right hand, where he had kept 5 spatial rings of Situ Nantion. Then, he tried injecting the chi string into one of the rings. As soon as the chi string entered the ring's jewel, Leo received feedback from the energy string. He vaguely sensed a maze made from water. It shot water energy at his chi string. When the chi string was soaked in the water, it devoured them as it still had the characteristics of Leo's cancer cells. The thread got bigger and it transferred some of the energy back to Leo's body. Sensing the energy entering his body, Leo raised his eyebrows. Oh, is this how they cultivate? Do cultivators absorb chi like this? Obviously, cultivators never attempted this method. Taxi also never practiced this. Only Leo's cancer cells could do it. Click. When the water chi in the ring was emptied, it was unlocked. The chi string Leo got inside the massive cubic room of the spatial ring, and Leo could vaguely sense countless objects in the cube. Ooh, this is it. Finally, Leo managed to access a spatial ring for the first time. One small step for a cultivator, one giant leap for Florida Man.